Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. And this is another game training tape. Today we're looking at the European Championship game between Hungary and Israel. And as always, it's not our intention to pick on these officials, but rather, we want to look at mechanics, and we want to look at how we can improve, how everybody can improve, because, based on mechanics, that's really where we get all the correct calls. If we don't have our mechanics in order, then nothing else works. So again, we're looking at mechanics, and now let's get to the game film. So play number one here, we're not really looking at the play, we're more looking at the linesman at the top of the field. And we're going to have a false start, and it's a good call. What we're looking at right there. So we've got the false start, but right now we're not really ready to call it. So our recommendation here is to have either the whistle in your mouth so you're ready to blow and throw, or have the whistle in your hand close to your mouth so that we can kill this very, very quickly. Whereas here, there's the false start. Now we have to reach for the flag. We also have to get the whistle all the way up from waist height all the way up to the mouth. So it just takes a little longer. And if we have the war going on in the trenches, that's long enough for them to make stupid hits. So let's try to be a little more ready, a little quicker on that whistle.
And if we do have the whistle in our mouth, of course, we remove the whistle once we have a snap, if there's no foul. So we don't work the play with the whistle in our mouth, but we need to be ready to use it if we have a pre-snap foul.
Absolutely.
And we talked also earlier about the signaling of the wing officials. Both wing officials on this play have good, clear signals on their receiver, their closest receiver being in the backfield. And we just want to reiterate that we want that signal to be held until a snap, or until your closest player is no longer actually in the backfield. We don't want that signal to be just briefly held, because we want to make sure that the official on the other side gets time to see. And also, if there's a change of position of the players, we want to signify by dropping the signal if there's a shift, for example, and the closest player is no longer in the backfield. And these guys, they do that, so it's not a comment on these people. It's just something that we talked about that we thought we would mention.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so on this play number two, it's a punt, but basically we're looking at our back judge, and we're looking at where he needs to focus. So right now, obviously he's looking at, well, the ball is already on the ground, so we're not looking at the catch, but as a back judge, your focus is on the punt returner initially, and then as soon as he gets the ball, now as a back judge, we need to be focused on blocks. So we're completely, going away from the runner, looking at blocks. And even though this is not, the best example in the world, the way that we come up here and get a progress spot tells me that our focus with this back judge was still on the runner. So what we have to try to do is full focus on the punt returner until he catches the ball, and then just leave him be. Look at blocks, and that will also make it more natural just to stay back and clean up behind the play and leave the progress spot to the field judge and side judge.
Just a minor point here on the referee signaling the play clock status. We prefer this the signals from the referee regarding play clock, if you want to reset it to 40 seconds or 25 seconds, they're usually, or they're really intended for situations where we somewhat out of the ordinary, like perhaps an injury. We need to clarify team A or team B, 25, 40 seconds, or perhaps if we're delayed in spotting the ball or so on. Otherwise, we really assume that our officials will know if it's 25 or 40 seconds, and we don't really have to signal in this situation. Just after a penalty, we just had a penalty enforcement, and there's no need to signal 25 seconds. It should be known by all. It's just a minor point, but so we should be able to trust our officials downfield that handles the play clock to know this.
Absolutely, and for the deep officials, they really should consider that a focus point, that all clock communication should go from the deeps to the referee and not the other way around.
Yeah, that will be what we want. It's only in situations that are sort of out of the ordinary, just like I mentioned, that we need to go the other way.
Yep. All right, play number 4, we included this just as a kind of a reminder, something we don't see very often. Right there from the team area comes a drone. They're actually using a drone, so right now it's right here. And if you keep an eye on that right there, that is actually a drone in the team area, so within the the field, the playing enclosure. And Einar, you had the rule.
Yeah, well, basically the rule says that you cannot use a drone inside the playing enclosure.
Right.
And there's no penalty for it. What we need to do is just stop the game and have game management remove the drone. And until the drone is removed, the game remains stopped. That's the rule. But there's no yardage penalty for it. You might write it in your game report, which I think you should, but no, there's no flag.
And there's no, I would imagine there's no downgrade for any official for not noticing this simply because it happens, in the team area behind us. So
Yeah.
Anybody who sees it can go ahead and deal with it.
We don't have any one official assigned to drone duty, so no. If you see it, you need to stop the game and have it removed.
Excellent, well put.
On this next play, we're looking at the line judge closest to the camera. We have a third and 4, and it's a pass that gets caught close to the line of scrimmage. And as we can see on the video, the line judge is releasing, and I believe he goes down to cover the line to gain. Now, we do have in our mechanics that on third and short and 4th and short, we can treat the line to gain as the goal line, but 3rd and 4 is a bit long. And also on this type of play, it's quite important that we have that we hold on the line of scrimmage so we can rule on the pass crossing or not. And also number 89's movement, you can see basically what kind of play it is immediately at the snap. Just look at 89's movement, closest receiver when the ball is snapped. This pretty much tells you what's going to be, and you just hold the position so that you can cover the line of scrimmage to rule on pass crossing or not crossing. We also have 2 blockers in front. Now they don't block before the pass is caught on this play, but it makes it even more important to know if the pass crossed or not, because you can potentially have an OPI. And another thing that we looked at is the signal by the line judge. Right here, you can see the signal is. It looks like a backward pass signal, and clearly this was a forward pass. I'm not sure if the line judge might be thinking that he is signaling that the pass did not cross the line, but that is not the signal for the pass not crossing the line. We don't really have a signal for pass not crossing the line, except in grounding situations where we can point to the ground to tell the referee pass didn't cross or pass did cross. But on a play like this, we should have held our position. We should have ruled on the pass crossing or not, and then just covered the play like any other play. And of course, not signaled the backward pass, even though that was probably not what he ruled, but that is the signal for a backward pass.
So on this next play, we're looking at a punt and the back judge. And before we really get to the punt, or shortly after, so right now, we should, as back judge, we should be looking at, for just a split second, where's the ball going? Is it going to be down the middle, or is it going to go to one of the sides? So that if the punt returner, which he does in this case, tries to fake out the kicking team, that you don't get sucked into him. See, right now the punt returner is right there, trying to indicate that this is where the ball is going to come down, where in fact he's going to let it roll. And what ends up happening is our back judge is up here, is at that is the 5-yard line, 4-yard line. We would much rather have him on the goal line, since the goal line is now the important line. It's a lot easier to rule on this and to sell this if we're on the goal line, as opposed to up on the 4-yard line. And I am guessing here a little bit that the back judge is looking at this guy and thinking, oh, the ball is going to come down here. I better move up to get in position to see what happens. Whereas if we get a better sense for where the ball is actually going to go, we can rule it better from the goal line. And the other point to make here is, good job stopping the clock here, but let's just indicate who has the ball, which direction we're going to be playing from now on, just as a little side note. That's nice to get in right there at the end. All right, play number 7, we're going to have a pass to the far side. Side judge there does a really good job. There's really no reason to leave goal line extended, but you can do it if you want to get yourself into a better position on the sideline. You can move away from the goal line extended as soon as you recognize, like you do here, that the goal line is no longer threatened. And then we've got an incomplete. And we've got some very enthusiastic officials over here.
Yeah, nice clear signals by these officials. There's no doubt what the call is. They sell the call in a very clear way, but perhaps we have a little bit of too many sellers. Too many people are selling.
Yeah.
When we have a pass into the end zone, and the pass goes beyond the deep wing as a short wing, as the linesman in this situation, we need to just let this play be officiated by the side judge in this case. So just leave the call and signaling up to the side judge, and we don't want to get involved like this. The downside is of course that we could perhaps have conflicting calls, and very visibly so. If we're this focused on the result of the play as a short wing, once it actually is in the deep wings area, we might wind up with conflicting calls, and we just need to let this go and have the side judge take care of this play.
All right, on play, I think this is play number 8, I believe. Another punt. We're looking at the sideline officials across the field. So the side judge first here. Okay, so the play is really not that interesting. Nothing really happens. So what we're looking for here is mechanics and focus. Um, so up until this point, as a side judge, you're looking at blocks and blocks and pretty much only blocks. Now the return starts, so you're responsible for the runner, but you're also still looking at blocks. You've got the return guy here, but you might also want to have a look at what happens up here. But you really need to hustle up the field because you do have forward progress responsibility. So that once the play ends here, we would like you to come all the way up here and get that progress spot and cover that play. For some reason, our side judge here stops, and perhaps we know why, Einar.
Well, we can all see who actually gets the spot, and it's the linesman. And you were talking about blocks and blocks and blocks, and that's definitely the mantra for a short wing on a punt as well. So once the punt has crossed the neutral zone, you can wander cautiously downfield. I mean, you can walk downfield pretty much. And as soon as the return starts, you want to reverse direction. You want to start backing up and backpedaling. And remember, keep in mind that we are in reverse mechanics. So you are now, you were the linesman when the play started. Well, you're now the side judge, sort of. And so we need to keep our distance, and we need to have our focus on blocks in front and not really concern ourselves with the dead ball spot unless it gets all the way inside the 2-yard line, which certainly isn't the case here. Otherwise, just stay ahead of the play and look at blocks. Don't worry about the spot. That is the deep wing's job on this play. On this play, we start with a third and about 8, and the play will go to the linesman's side. All is good, all is well, and no issues with the coverage here or anything. But if we look at the chain crew behind the linesman, they are starting to move the chain immediately, and clearly there's been no communication from the linesman to the chain crew at this point. And we want to make sure that when we are the we're the linesman and we're in charge of the chain crew, we want to tell them without any shadow of a doubt that all movement by the chain crew, except of course it's self-defense, will be when told to move by the linesman. That goes for changing the down, moving the down box, setting up for a new first down. All those things we want to be controlled by the linesman only. We don't want any chain crew to make up their own minds, make any decisions of their own, because the risk of them making a mistake that we have to rectify, sometimes we can't rectify it, sometimes there is no good solution. We just don't ever want that to happen. And one of the best ways to make sure it doesn't happen is to make sure that the chain crew will never move unless you tell them to, as the linesman. And if they happen to do so, remind them not to move, and just keep reiterating that, and we probably won't have any issues with the chain crew. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, good point. And for the rest of the crew, especially a line judge who's watching across the field, but even for referees, umpires, back judges who might see them move before they're told to, let the linesman know that they're actually moving, so that he can address it with the chain crew.
Yeah, but the key to this is a good briefing before the game, where you're very clear what your procedures and signals are. You just make it very clear to them that they don't move before you signal. And most chain crews actually think that's fine because they don't have to do any thinking. Yeah. They just have to react to you, and most people are really happy with that. And it solves a multitude of problems.
Yeah. Good point. And for the last play, we always like to finish off with something positive, and we've actually found one of the good mechanic by one of your guys, Einar, one of your favorite officials, the linesman across the field.
The wings are the mainstay of any crew. Short wings.
So we've got what looks to be an interception, but the linesman comes up with a great signal. So Got good focus right there. He's on the line of scrimmage. The ball is thrown. He moves down the field just like we want him to. The only thing we can fault him here is that the initial incomplete signal he makes is off camera. So that's the only thing we can fault him. So he starts off with an incomplete signal. Then he comes in right there to signal the ball actually touched the ground. That's why it's incomplete. And then I like the way he finishes off with an incomplete signal. Again, that's just really good mechanics. He lets everybody know what he saw. Good body language, good signals. Overall, well officiated play.
A lot of good signals in this game from a lot of officials. A lot of good examples of good body language in this game. Just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah. So that was it for this training tape. As always, enjoyed doing this with you, Einar. So thank you, and see you in the next one.
Sure.